Welcome back, everybody. I'm Brian Bogert, and we're here today with episode 63 of Bogert's Bullets. Today, we're going to talk about the impact of scarcity. I had a call with my client today, and the premise of the call was that they've been having issues in their house with conversations around finances. He has one belief, his wife has another belief, and in the 10 plus years they've been together, the conversation to come together and be on the same page has always resulted in some sort of disaster. And so he was asking for tips to navigate that discussion. What we uncovered by doing that, though, is that it wasn't really about the topic about finances, although that was a piece of it. What it really had to do with was his scarcity mindset, the scarcity connected to money, the scarcity connected to things in his life, and how that was actually impacting his business, how that was impacting his relationship, how that was impacting his life. And the reality of it is that scarcity can seep down deep, and it can really impact a lot of the actions. And so what would happen is he would get very frustrated about his wife's spending patterns. And then ultimately what would happen is he'd stay quiet about it for a little while, he'd feel the pressure, he'd get stressed, until the moment that it would blow up, and all of a sudden he'd approach her and try to have conversations about money and spending habits and where they're going to get long term with their goals and their business investments, etc. And it would always end in disaster. He even attempted to try to say, we need to do these things, we need to do this or that. But what that really meant, and what she was hearing, was your spending habits, you need to do this because I've got it under control. He wasn't approaching it from a place of personal ownership. The scarcity was blocking his ability to have a productive conversation with his wife about something that does cause stress in marriages, but is somewhat simplistic if you really think about it. It's about money and how do we come together as a partnership. So we flipped it on its head and really started to unpack what the scarcity was and what it meant for him and how it was actually limiting him in his business and life. And what we did was give him the ability to take personal ownership and hopefully empower him to have a more meaningful conversation with his spouse. So instead of going in and at all saying you, which puts her on the defensive and feels like she's working for somebody or somebody's boss or dad or principal is coming down on them for something they've done wrong, he's gonna go in and literally own the fact that this pattern that's existed in their marriage for so long was actually his own doing. It was his own scarcity. It was his issue and his emotional triggers connected to money and the idea of scarcity that were keeping them stuck in this self-defeating pattern. So instead he's gonna go to his wife and say, look, I realize that I have scarcity, especially connected to money. I have a scarcity mindset. I have a hard time pulling myself out of it. And what ends up happening is I end up having this emotion that bubbles up over time, and knowing that we have these conversations and we've had arguments, I tend to avoid them until I can't anymore and I blow up. But the reality of it is, I'm gonna blow up one way or another because it's my own issue. It's my own emotions that are driving this. And I realize that in every other conversation, the reason it's blown up is my fault. It's not your spending habits. It's the fact that I come into it emotionally charged and put you on the defensive and don't take ownership for my role in how we actually navigate that discussion. Immediately flip it on its head by diffusing it and saying, look, this is where I'm at, and how can I approach you so that we can have a productive discussion, and how can we build on this partnership? It immediately shifts it to an abundance mindset and him taking ownership and her feeling like she's a part of the solution versus on the receiving end of a lecture or punishment. This was a really freeing moment for him because he got to see that this is a materially different way than he's approached it in the past. And when he approaches and says me versus we, it has nothing to do with her, but she is a part of the solution. So I just really want to ask everybody watching this today, where has scarcity impacted you in your life? Where do you feel like you don't have enough? Where do you get emotions tied to your inability to produce something or tension within relationships or in business? Scarcity is unbelievably damaging, and it impacts our psyche, our soul, our emotions, and the way we show up. So really try to get clear on where that comes from and shift from scarcity to abundance so that you can be free, take ownership, and start to move forward in your life. If you liked this content today, please hit the like button, please comment, please share, and we'll look forward to being back again with you soon In the meantime, be great and be you.